Well, good morning, and thank you for being here with me today. I'm really excited to go through a lot that I have planned today. It's great stuff, and it's what you asked for. So at the end of today's webinar, there will be a survey, and that survey will ask some questions of you. It's really simple. Last coaching call, we did this survey, and we got a lot of feedback that you wanted more information on the cash offers and how they work. And so I have some great stuff for you today. It's going to be really enlightening. I think it's going to empower you to really get out there and promote these value propositions and feel very confident and comfortable doing so. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. And how are things going in your market? I'm curious what's the pulse in your market. All real estate is so local, and a lot of times the headlines do more to terrify than clarify, and we hear that delistings or canceled expired listings are at an all-time high and a lot of price reductions and all of that, but I know that all markets are very different. And I was talking with an agent in Grand Rapids, Michigan the other day, and their market is just on fire. Listings aren't staying on the market for very long, and so the strategies that we have here at Zoodealio really help in that market. And then I talk to agents that are in certain parts of Florida where there is just a ton of inventory, and it's a very different feel to that market. So curious how your market is treating you, and has the spring selling season picked up for you yet? We have seen some relief on interest rates, which is great news. Hasn't seemed to really spur the buyer activity I think that we're all hoping for. So it's going to be a time will tell, and time is the great revealer. But headed into this week, I just wanted to share what the top cash offer markets were for last week. You can kind of get a feel for where a lot of the requests are coming from. The Atlanta, Georgia area has knocked out Las Vegas. Las Vegas has been holding number one strong heavy for a few months. And so it was, interesting to see that get bumped down to number 4. Las Vegas got bumped to number 4, but we've got Atlanta at the top. San Diego, California is right up there at number 2. Charlotte, North Carolina, then Las Vegas, Phoenix, Fort Collins, Dallas, the Tampa, Sarasota area, Jacksonville at 9, and rounding out 10 for Raleigh, North Carolina. So any surprises on there for you? I was surprised to see Las Vegas get bumped just because I was so used to seeing it at number 1 week over week. And so just, it is no longer the top cash offer market. So I want to share some really interesting data from a survey that Open Door did. And so their CEO, Carrie Wheeler, was recently, on the news talking about this survey. And I extracted some of the tidbits for us that I found to be very fascinating, and I think are really important nuggets for us to hang on to and be aware of as we're out in the marketplace, especially when you're leading with these cash offer value propositions. So what Carrie Wheeler said, and this won't surprise you, I'm sure, is that 75% of home sellers feel overwhelmed and anxious about the home selling process. Now, we know that, and we know the cash offer conversation largely is driven by a lot of this anxiety. And we know that homeowners are always looking for certainty and convenience, and they find that through these cash offers, but we also know that the acceptance rate on cash offers is very low. I want to also share with you another nugget that their data and their survey revealed, which I found to be very, very fascinating. So convenience over cash is what they're finding. And when they surveyed, it was a survey of home sellers, and they were first-time home sellers. So that's a little interesting caveat. So people that were selling their home for the first time. 65% of those sellers would be willing to take up to 20% less for their home. 65%. That is massive. That's almost 7 out of 10 sellers are willing to give up a chunk of change in order to have that convenient, certain experience. And so 35% holding out for top dollar, but a large majority of these sellers were willing to give up a huge chunk of their equity for this convenient certain home sale. And so I thought it would be a good idea for us to get a visual representation of what that looks like, what that means in your market. And so here is the true cost of 20% in a home sale, depending on wherever you're at geographically. This is the median priced home and it's 20% off. So for instance, I am in Arizona, so that would equate to an $88,000 discount that a home seller would be willing to give up for a certain and convenient sale. Is this sticking? Is this resonating? Is this shifting a paradigm? Because see, here's the reality. I think that a lot of us realtors and professionals, we know that sellers prioritize getting top dollar, and they do want to get top dollar, most of them. And I think that the paradigm shift is not everyone is looking for top dollar. Other people are looking for different ways to sell, to avoid hassle, to avoid pain points, to avoid interruption of their lives, getting their home show ready, keeping their home show ready, showing the home while they have children, showing the home while they have pets. There are a variety, a myriad of factors that go into this. And so it's super important for us to be aware of it. I think when we lead with these value propositions that are cash offerings, we need to know that the person may like this offer and option, and it's up to them to decide what's best for them. We know most of us as real estate professionals are like, let me just list your house for you online. I can make you so much more money. But money is not always the driver. Oftentimes it's secondary to convenience, to certainty. And so the best way to flush it out is to lead with the cash offers and give them their options. It won't hurt you. If anything, it will open up other opportunities for you, because when you do that, you always have these cash offers as a hedge. And I'm willing to bet that if a seller is looking at, a couple agents, maybe they're interviewing 2 or 3 agents, my guess is you are likely going to be the only one that's going to show up with a way to sell their house that moment versus just taking a listing and putting it on the market. So really fascinating data. If you'd like a copy of my slides, always happy to send them to you. You can just email me. It's my first name, Kayla, Kala, at Zoodealio.com. If you get this as a part of a recording, or if you're on YouTube, Facebook, and you'd like those, just email support@Zoodealio.com and we'll get those over to you right away. Okay, so I wanted to also show you Opendoor's margin, because this is fascinating. So they report their margin by the purchase month, and the margin is, they buy it for one price, they sell it for another. This does not include their program fee. This does not include the discount that they get on repairs. This is just, hey, we're going to buy it at $100,000 and we're going to resell it for $120,000. This is their margin. And you can see that it's ticked up in February from January, but it does vary based on the purchase month. We're at about 14% purchase margin right now. So once you include those other fees, you can see how this could leapfrog up for that seller, which is interesting that their data revealed that a homeowner would give up to 20%. When you add in program fee, when you add in repair costs, you're probably looking at that when you sell your home to Opendoor. Why am I sharing this with you? Well, I get it. Opendoor isn't they're not purchasing 20% or 30% of all of the homes, but it is sizable. Last year, they purchased nearly 15,000 homes across all of their markets in the US. That equates to about 60 homes per business day that they're acquiring. This is pretty massive. And as we look at these individuals that are willing to sell directly to Opendoor, we know that many of them go unrepresented. So many of them are doing it on their own. They're probably not even truly in tune with what that fair market value of their home is. We know that Open Door was fined, I think it was like $64 million a couple years ago for misleading the homeowner on the value of their home. And so I feel like having a fiduciary on your side when you're making these decisions to sell your home to a cash offer company is so important. So I wanted to bring out this embedded margin so you're just really aware of what the true cost is on average to sell to Open Door. Here was another nugget, and I'm sharing this with you to really reinforce a couple things. So this was pulled directly out of Open Door's shareholder reporting, and what it says is that over 70% of their 2024 acquisitions, so as I mentioned, it was close to about 15,000, just shy of 15,000, over 70% of those acquisitions last year were from sellers who did not act on their initial offer, but subsequently acted on a refreshed offer. So why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this with you because it is so important for us to understand this as well. When we give a seller a cash offer, it may not be that first time we're supplying those cash offers that they decide to do something. Oftentimes, and just as we see with Open Door and their shareholder reporting, we track this in our data at Zoodealio as well. Oftentimes, it is not the first offer that the seller accepts. Oftentimes, it's a refreshed offer. And so my question to you is, if you're getting cash offers for, people that are considering selling, maybe people in your database, maybe you're working various lead types and you're getting cash offers for probates or absentee owners, whatever the case may be, that first offer, think of it as just an introduction. Don't think of it as a final be all, end all. Oftentimes it is not. Oftentimes they will do something down the line and accept a cash offer down the line. So not now does not mean no. It just means not now. And so it's so important that you have a mechanism for giving refreshed offers to your people. And I think the home report is the way to go with this. The home report does just that. It serves up insights and intel on their home, as well as those cash offers over and over and over and over and over again. And so important. If you're not already on the home report, I would highly encourage you to check it out. You can get with our team. We could give you a demo. It's pretty easy to kind of understand and super simple. It comes in slots of 500 properties. And so you can, purchase up to 500 properties. You can upload a database. You do not need an address. All you need is an email, which is kind of cool because a lot of folks have a ton of buyer IDX leads in their database, and they're people that they don't have addresses on, and many of those folks own homes. And so you can deploy this out to your database. It can reinvigorate, it can add integrity to your data by supplementing your data. So it's a really cool tool. And I bring this up because I think it's so important. Like, we go the distance and we deliver them on that value proposition that we know that they want. We know that they want a cash offer. But then do we stop? And I think I know the answer for a lot of folks is yes. A lot of us stop. We think, okay, they got it. They're not interested. But that is not true. They're just not ready yet. And so they're considering their options. They're in that contemplation phase. Oftentimes that can take us, several months. And so while they're in that phase, it is super important that you're staying in front of them over and over and over again with those cash offers, with the value propositions, and they will change over time. That's another neat thing on the home report is it does show the historical view of the cash offers and how they change over time as well. So wanted to just share that because I think that, and I can tell you too, what pains me is any offer that's accepted through the platform, we source that property address and we see how long it's been in the system. We see, how many refreshed offers were given. And we also see if it ever came through with different realtors. And sadly, it does. And so if you're going through the work of delivering that cash offer, I want you to be the one to capitalize on it. I don't want you to lose it to somebody else or lose it because that seller decides to, go a different direction. and you were in front of them with that value proposition. I think that there's always this fear that we're going to bug people, we're going to annoy people if we're, too aggressive, too in front of them. And I just want to share with you that that is absolutely not the case. It is just a not now mentality. It isn't a no mentality. And I've had a really, good experience with this lately. So we've been working on, we launched Seller Source. Maybe you've heard a little bit of it. Seller Source is a lead program that's provided by Zoodealio. And as part of Seller Source, we've really been doing a lot with AI and with data and IP trolling and so many really neat things just to enhance the data integrity that we're delivering to our members. And there is a company that we've been working with, and they called us like 3 times a day for like weeks, following up, constantly just following up. And every time they did it, it didn't, most of the time it would just get sent straight to voicemail, right? Because it wasn't something that we were doing at that moment. And so it was something that we were pushing off. And I know you have your own experiences of this, but I am sharing this with you just to let you know, give you permission to be on fire with your value proposition, be on fire staying in front of people with what you can offer them, because not everyone can. And you have an amazing service that you can provide them when they're ready, and you don't know when they'll be ready. And so it's so important for you to maintain that consistent contact and follow up with them. I'm going to go even a step farther here, because I have my Zoodealio platform up. We've made some changes inside Zoodealio, so maybe you've noticed them already. We added a notifications tab that's going to give you a very robust view of all of the notifications that are happening on your account. And it's so cool because especially if you have the home report and you've got a lot of folks in here, you might be wondering who you should be following up with. And so this activities tab is going to basically tell you just that. It's going to give you that at a glance of what people are doing on your home report. You can see what containers they're looking at in their home report. And then you can, of course, click on any of these notifications, drill it down to the account so that you can actually get into that account. You can see it. And then based on that, you can take action that's consistent with whatever behavior they're doing on their account. I like to think of this as their digital body language. It allows you to get insights into what they're doing. And so you can kind of understand maybe what they're thinking based on the behaviors that they're taking in their home report. So if I come in here and I open that up, I'm also going to be able to see exactly how much time they spent on each container. I can go through and I can extend the time period. So if I wanted to look at a longer time frame, I can do that. I can also look if they had any conversations with the AI, they will appear here. So I can kind of get an idea of what they're doing, how they're engaging, what sort of questions they're asking the AI, etc. So really cool. I think it's a neat tool because it allows us to be very sophisticated and smart with our follow-up. And of course, we all are aiming to work smarter, not harder. So just wanted to point that out. It is a new feature that we've rolled out. We have several other cool new features coming very soon. One of them that we've been working on hard is a propensity score for sellers. So pulling in some of those things that I had mentioned before, like IP trolling, that sort of thing, in combination with the action and behavior that they're taking on your home report. We've come up with an algorithm to score those sellers and to really serve up to you the likely hot sellers so that you know at a very quick glance who you should be focusing on and spending your attention on. All right, so I want to talk now about the Cash Plus offer with repairs, which in the platform is returned currently as the Fix It and List It. I'm also going to share that we're changing that name back to Cash Plus with repairs. And the reason we're doing so is because the feedback that we're getting is that the Fix It and List It name of that offer, it doesn't seem like it's an actual cash offer. It seems like a list on the market strategy. And so we're changing that. You'll see that come out in the coming weeks, but the name will be changed back to Cash Plus with repairs. So the Cash Plus offer with repairs, and I'm going to go through this in detail in here just a moment, so hang with me. But the Cash Plus with repairs accomplishes so much in today's market. I wanted to share a quote from Glenda Baker because I thought this was really revealing of the market. You're probably feeling this too. She said, I don't know if it's an Amazon Prime experience buyers are looking for, or if it's just an HGTV expectation of condition. But now more than ever, I have to tell you, we're really seeing this expectation of condition where it's bring my toothbrush, bring my suitcase, and move right on in. I have never seen anything like condition being the driver more than anything. I am seeing that it doesn't even matter how much you offset the price. If the condition isn't perfect, crispy, a shiny new penny, people are taking a pass. And I've never seen that before. And I thought this quote was really revealing of what we see as well. So I'm going to go into the Cash Plus with repair strategy because here is a strategy that you can use to help homeowners achieve this goal of having that shiny new penny, which I think we're getting rid of the penny. So maybe not the best analogy anymore, but having that crispy, perfect, beautiful home that's move-in ready. We also have seen this in some of the data that's coming out. So Zillow did an in-depth study of thousands of keywords in listing descriptions. And what they found was in the past, buyers were looking for fixer-uppers. Buyers were looking for homes that they could put a little TLC in, but not any longer. In fact, buyer preferences have shifted. Buyers are now prioritizing move-in ready homes, and fixer-uppers are selling for way less, the largest discount in 3 years. Remodeled homes are attracting more buyers and selling for more. And in fact, if the home is labeled remodeled in the listing, it's going to sell for about 3.7 more. And it's also, here's another kicker, it's also going to receive about 26% more views on Zillow's listings. So wow, I mean, buyers are just looking for remodeled move-in ready homes, and staging and presentation drive engagement. Move-in ready homes are receiving 30% more shares on Zillow. So we know that condition is a huge driver. I mean, let's be real. It's not a very big logical leap as to why prices are high, interest rates remain high. It is more expensive than ever to buy a home. And the last thing that you want to do is buy a home and sink a ton of cash into it. So it makes sense. And I wanted to just show a fix. It's Cash Plus with repairs. Again, as I mentioned, we currently call it the Fix It and List It in the platform. It's the Cash Plus with repairs because it's the same exact offer strategy. It just has the repair component. Here is one in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a very oversaturated market right now. And so having condition be amazing is just a differentiator. It is sometimes the difference between this home sells and this home doesn't sell. And so here was one where, we went in, the buyer did repairs. It just looked so much better after. I love looking at the before and afters, got a new kitchen in there, new flooring, new paint, just freshened it up, made it look alive. And even like the bathroom, like it's the color there. That color is, you paint the walls a different color and that same bathroom just looks so much better. So the buyer will work with you and the seller and fine tune the scope of those repairs so that they're getting the biggest bang for their buck. But again, makes a huge difference. And as a result of this seller made over $100,000 more. Here's how these numbers had skinned out. The as-is value for that home was $535,000. It sold for $780,000 repaired. Pretty incredible. A value increase of about $245,000. The repair costs were just over $85,000. The seller paid a program fee on that final resale price because it was higher of $780,000. So the program fee was $46,800, which netted them over $100,000 in this market in Jacksonville, Florida. It's pretty incredible. And so here's one of the tools that you have available to you in your tool belt when you are meeting with sellers. And perhaps their house doesn't need a ton of work. Maybe it just needs a little bit of a refresh. That's okay. This strategy works with the refresh. It also works with the full on, remodels that are much more robust. So kind of get your wheels spinning and have that solution ready, because what we know is that the remodeled homes are selling faster for more, getting shared more, getting seen more, all of that. So I wanted to go through two things right now. I want to go through the timeline of events just on a very high level. And then I'm also going to go through exactly how the Cash Plus with repairs works. We're going to explain everything. You see it return in your platform, and you've probably looked and perused through the offer in the dashboard, but I want to just take some time, make sure we're all clear so that you're confident and comfortable explaining how this cash offer works. I think that one of the worst things that we can do is discount this and just try to go for the listing. Ultimately, getting the listing is the goal if the cash offer doesn't work. But when we truly understand how it works, I think that we can empower sellers to give them what they're looking for. They're looking for certainty. They're looking for convenience. And if you know how this works and you don't oversell it and you don't undersell it, it can truly be a remarkable tool for you. So the first thing that happens is the offer is returned. And so what that means is either you've went into your agent backend, and I'm just going to show you here, and you've clicked this cash offer, get cash offer button, and you've entered a property address in here, or maybe you've uploaded your CSV file from your CRM of all of your homeowners and you've generated cash offers for all of them that way. Or maybe you're using a Zapier integration and you've done that, or maybe you're running cash offer ads, or maybe you've got your cash offer link in your email signature and the homeowner came in on your site on their own, because of course I'm going to click this landing page button. You do have your cash offer landing page. It's this top one right here. And so perhaps that's how they've came in. In any event, of all of the varieties of ways that the cash offer was returned, it's returned to the homeowner. Now, once that cash offer is returned, a couple things that I want to point out. So the first thing I want to point out is that the Cash Plus, the Fix It and List It as it's currently displayed, which is the Cash Plus with repairs, and the Sell Now, Move Later are all structured sales. So they all have a 2-sale payout. And the structure is pretty much the same for all of them. The only difference is on the Cash Plus with repairs, there's a repair component. And on the Sell Now, Move Later, there is a lease back component. Okay, so this is going to simplify the process for us, because what now you can just kind of insert those different offer types, and now you know that they pretty much all work like this with those little caveats of the repair and the lease back. Okay, so the offer is returned, and it is designed to be returned at a full market value offer. If it is not a full market value offer, if it is too high or too low, we want that feedback. We want you to let us know. Now, before you do that, the next step for you is to finalize the offer. Once you finalize the offer, then the human underwriter will look at it, and within 1 to 3 business days, will return the final offer. Now, they're going to take into account property photos. So if you can submit those property photos, then you're going to have the most accurate final number. If you don't submit photos, they're just taking a stab at what that condition of the home is. And so this is a great time for you if you've not yet met the seller. I always like to say, this is like the money conversation, because calling up that seller and saying, hey, I do have those cash offers for you. I can get these potentially increased if I could stop by and take a few pictures of your home. Would tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. work better for you? So great kind of move to getting in front of them, get those photos on their behalf. Now, there is a mechanism for them to upload them on their own. So if they came in through your site, they can do that on their own. But if you've not yet met them, it is the best way to get in front of them. It's just such an easy conversation, and they will be happy that you're stopping by and taking photos. Okay, so that's in the finalized offer stage. You're going to finalize that offer. Once you finalize the offer, that final number is returned, and if that number works for the homeowner, they're going to accept that offer. Once they accept that offer, then escrow will get opened and an inspection will be scheduled, and the buyer will go in and do a home inspection of the property depending on the age of the property. If it's older than 1980, they may also do a sewer scope, and then there may be other little inspections that they do that are pertaining to your area or to the property, for instance, if it's on a septic or a well. So they're going to go in and they're going to do their inspections. Now, during that inspection process, when they come back and they share their findings of that inspection with you, at the same time, they will also share with you a repair proposal. So they will have a proposal on what they believe that the home will sell for, given all of the repairs or updates, remodel, etc., that they believe it would take to get it sold. Now, the cool thing is oftentimes they'll give you two options as well. So oftentimes you might have like a partial, maybe that refresh where we're just going to do some carpet and paint, that sort of thing. And then you might also get that secondary proposal of, if you were to invest a little bit more into this project, what would that look like? This is also a wonderful time for you to share with the buyer what you believe the home needs in order to really put it at the top of the list for buyers in that market. You are the expert, so you also can weigh in and provide a lot of guidance in this arena as well. Okay, so once that's delivered back to the seller gets to look at those options, and the seller gets to decide what they want to do. They pick the strategy. And based on, whatever strategy that they want to go with, they pick that, and then it proceeds to the first closing, and the seller gets their first payout. Okay, so that is the first closing. So it, works pretty much just like a typical cash offer process. The biggest difference is that repair component, where the repair proposal is given to them, and then of course the closing, a little bit of their equity is reserved back. I'm going to skim through that in a minute, so hang with me. But this process, are we tracking? Does this all make sense? So this is that first closing. I want to share with you the timeline of events on the second closing, okay? Because there's a two-part payout to the seller, and this is just that first step. So the second step is property has closed, seller moves out. And sometimes there's a late checkout, depends on how long that can all be negotiated. So if you need someone, or if you have someone that needs to stay in the home for a little bit after closing, that is absolutely something the buyer can work with. So just communicate that to them at that time. But for this scenario, seller moved out, we closed, seller moved out, then buyer goes in and repairs start. So they start those repairs right away. And then the second step would be those repairs are completed. And once those repairs are completed, they are going to rely on you to do a final inspection of that. Not an inspection, more just like a viewing. You're going through and you're looking at the home and you're looking at the repair scope, and you're making sure that the contractor did all of the things that they needed to do and that it is satisfactory to you. So you will have that opportunity to say, hey, like this was missed, or hey, maybe this needs to be done a little bit differently or better. You're going to get that opportunity to provide your feedback. So once the repairs are complete and buttoned up, you will then do a resale meeting with the buyer. And this meeting is super important because it's going to go through kind of some of the expectations that were set, because in the contract that you're going to get, there is a sales addendum, and part of the addendum has a resale marketing plan. And so this resale meeting is going to go through that resale marketing plan, which is basically to ensure that you're doing all of the things that the market and the buyer and the seller would expect that you do to get that home sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And I will say that when I audit listings that our member network has put on the market on behalf of the buyers, phenomenal job. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. You are doing all of the things that need to be done online from like that digital presentation perspective. I mean, like virtual staging is happening pretty much across the board. And some of these virtual staging companies are getting so good that there was one I was looking at, and I was actually questioning whether it was actually staged or if it was virtual. And it, sure enough, was virtual. Floor plans. We know that in addition to photos, buyers want floor plans. That is another area that you are smashing it in. And I'm just so proud of you. 3D scans, listing showcases. We are seeing you go above and beyond to market these homes. And it's just so phenomenal because a lot of markets are just saturated with inventory. And so some of these things give you those competitive edge. So it's really cool to see. Okay, so you go through that meeting and then you get that home listed on the market. It's listed. And what you're going to do every 2 weeks is you will do a property status report for the buyer. So you're going to give them the information on, how many showings you received, what the feedback's been like, what marketing activities have you completed, maybe what other homes have come on the market that you feel are in direct competition to that property. So there's definitely a lot of communication and integration with the buyer during this process. And so they're really going to rely on you to be the eyes and the ears in the market for that home. Now, you're going to get an offer. So once you get that offer, it's going to be negotiated on, and then you're going to have an accepted contract. So that's step 6. And then step 7 is that final closing, that home sells on the open market. And then, of course, it's at that time when the seller's final reserve will be returned to them. So that's the timeline of events for the first closing. And then this here is the second closing. I want to go a little deeper though, and just skin out the cash plus with repairs, go through all of the components so that everyone is crystal clear on how this works. So, we created this product, and when we created the product, then we had to go find investors that were willing to run the program. And the reason we created this product is if we go back to that Open Door slide and we look at the embedded margin that Open Door has when they acquire properties, and then we know that they've got their program fee, we know that they have a repair hit that they take from that seller during the inspection process. Selling your home to a cash buyer, you can leave a lot of money on the table. And wouldn't there be a better way? And if there was a better way, what would that better way look like? And what we came up with was, if there was a better way, the better way would look like the buyer only making a fee, not margin. The better way, again, I'm going to reiterate that, the better way for a cash offer is if the buyer only makes a fee. They don't make margin. And that is exactly what you're going to get with the structured sales with the 2-part payouts. So again, that's the cash plus with repairs, or in the platform, it's fix it and list it currently. We're changing that. And then the sell now, move later. So all of those are cash offers where the buyer only makes a fee. The buyer does not make any margin. And so when we talk about the price, I'll get there in a sec. We'll get there in just a minute here. So there's really 3 steps to this. It's that full market cash offer. There is a reserve of the seller's equity that's held back. And then the fees for this are disclosed up front, right? So that full market value cash offer, we talked a little bit about this. If it comes in too high, not doing the seller any favor, because then what will happen is you'll go put that home on the open market and it won't sell for that high price because the market won't bear that price. And when that happens, price reductions will be had, which are deducted out of the seller's reserve. And so it's not going to do anyone any favors if that price is way too high. Now, on the flip side, if the price is too low, again, not going to do the seller any favor, because if the price is too low, then the reserve and payouts will be as such that that first payout to that seller likely won't be enough, right? So this offer, it's so critical that it's coming in right at full market value. And so what you can do when you hit finalize and you request that final offer, and then that final offer is returned to you, you're going to get now, this is a new process that the buyers are putting in place. So if you've finalized offers in the past, this is a different protocol, a different process. You're now going to receive a snapshot of the underwrite. So you're going to get, it kind of looks like an appraisal. You're going to get a snapshot of that underwrite. It's going to show you what comps were used for listed, pending, sold, and it's also going to show you what different, what discounts were taken in order to come up with that price. So that is your time to really take a quick look and say, okay, do I have any other comps? Or, maybe the condition rating was off. Maybe the condition shouldn't have been, it should have been higher or lower or whatever the case may be. But I would encourage you, when you get that email and you get that snapshot of the underwrite, take a moment, look at it. And if there's anything that you can share with us that could change the outcome, please do. Also, if you have any questions about it, call into our offers team. We want to help make a deal work if we can. And if the numbers aren't accurate, if they're not tracking with what you believe is the market value of that home, we want to know about it. Okay, so the reserve. Now, the reserve is a portion of the seller's equity. It's held back on the first closing and it is returned to the seller on that final second sale, and it's based on the final sales price of the home. So a couple things I want to note here is that in today's market, reserves are a little bit higher, especially in some places like Florida, Georgia, Texas, places that have a lot of inventory. The reserve could be a little bit higher because the property presents more risk to the marketplace and to the buyer. And so keep that in mind. I would say, like, on average, we're looking at about 15 to 25%. And another thing that I want to note here is that if there is a repair component being done, the repairs are in addition to the reserve. So the repairs don't come out of the reserve. We get that question asked a lot. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so there will also be a program fee, and on average, we're looking at 6%. Again, it could be different depending on the risk the property presents to the marketplace. It also could be higher if it's a more expensive home, that sort of thing. So keep in mind, that's what you're looking at approximately, and that could change based on the offer. Now, well, I'll touch on this in a second. And then, of course, we have our agent commissions and resale closing costs fee, and that is 5.5%. That is how you are paid. Let me skin out the program fee. So this is meaty, and I want to make sure that we understand how this works, because it's pretty cool if you think about it. So this program fee, this is all the buyer makes. They make a program fee. That's it. And for this 6% fee, they are covering their own cost of capital. They're also taking over home ownership costs. So they're going to take over the property insurance. They're going to take over the property taxes. If there's an HOA, they're going to take over the HOA, the water, the electricity, the sewer, the gas, all of that during the resale timeline. Okay, so if you think about it, and like, I love this, it's like really cool. If you really think about it, when the seller accepts a cash plus offer or the fix it and list it or the sell now move later offer, their costs of holding the property absolutely stop as soon as they sell it to the buyer, because all of these interim things are covered out of that program fee. And so, it makes the cost to accepting this offer a lot less. So you could probably run some math and figure out what all of these typically are on average, turn it into, a percent, and probably be able to share with that seller, truly, that program fee is not 6% because it's covering things that typically the seller would be covering if they didn't accept the offer. Another thing here is, it's been really fun to see other companies copy our cash offer. It's been super fun, especially when they're like, companies that I would consider like companies I look up to. And one of the things that they do that we don't do, and so keep this in mind, especially if you're comparing different cash offers from different buyers, and if you're comparing similar structures, keep in mind that what we know is a lot of these other companies, they don't include these interim homeownership costs in their fee. And some of them have a waterfall, which means that they take out the insurance, they take out the taxes, they take out the interim, utility charges, and they take that all out of the reserve on that second payout. The buyers in our platform don't. So it's a big difference, and I just wanted to point that out. All right, and that 5.5% agent commissions and resale closing costs, this covers your commissions. It also covers the closing costs on the second sale, and you're paid 2% on the first sale and 2% on the second sale. So it's a total of a 4% commission between the two sales. Oh, by the way, there is a $2,500 bonus running right now. It's not factored into this. The buyer is taking care of that bonus. There's a $2,500 bonus right now on accepted offers through April 30th. So it's a spring bonus, kind of cool. They did this last year several times, so it was kind of neat. And we were happy that they brought it back. Anytime we can make a little bit more, especially in these lean times, is good. All right, so repairs. As I mentioned before, during the inspection period, the buyer will propose the repairs that can be made. As I also mentioned, this is in addition to the reserve, so keep that in mind. And again, you get to work hand in hand with the buyer on this as well. So if there are things that you think need to be done, or if that proposal, if you see the proposal and you're like, okay, A, B, C, and D, but maybe not E and F, you get to weigh in. And of course, the seller ultimately has the deciding vote on what they'd like done to their home. One other thing I mentioned that it's in addition to the reserve. I just want to also point out too, if your seller is getting this cash offer, and if they haven't listed yet, this is also pretty cool because the buyer is going to do that inspection. And so they're going to have the findings of an inspection as well. And, that's kind of cool. As some agents, it's a strategy of them to get that home inspected before it goes on the market, just to make sure that everyone's aware of everything. So kind of a cool byproduct, if you will. So if for some reason it doesn't work out, the seller's left with an inspection, and that's always a good thing. All right. I want to skin out how the math works. So let's go through one quickly, just so I can kind of show you how it works, so you're very comfortable and clear on how the numbers work. So we're going to use some hypothetical numbers today. We've got a $500,000 purchase price. We've got a 6% program fee. We've got that 5.5% agent commissions and resale closing cost fee. We have a 15% reserve, and we're going to have a $50,000 repair credit. So on that first payout, the seller would get $317,000. Now, of course, this would be less their customary closing costs. It would be less any payoffs that they have. It would be less any liens that they might have on the property. So keep that in mind, right? Now, when it comes to the resale, there's truly only 3 ways the resale can skin out. Truly, there's just 3 scenarios. So we're going to quickly skim through these 3 scenarios. So the first scenario is the home sells on the open market for the exact same amount as the home was purchased by the buyer. So in this scenario, the buyer or the home resells on the open market for $500,000. Same price. Well, in that circumstance, the entire reserve, $75,000, is returned to the seller. Okay, so are we tracking? Okay, so I'm going to go to the second way it could skin out. Now, the second way it could skin out is if the home sells for less on the open market. So with these hypothetical fake numbers, we're going to say that the house sold for $490,000 on the open market, which is a $10,000 difference between what the buyer purchased the home from the seller for. So if we deduct that $10,000 out of the reserve of $75,000, then the seller is going to receive a second payout of $65,000. All right, and then the third way, and this is, of course, this is like when this happens, it's amazing. The third is the home sells for more on the open market. than that purchase price the buyer purchased the home from the seller for. So this can happen when repairs are made, especially like if your market's one of these markets, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but you put a little bit of money into a house and it sells for way more than you ever thought it would, because the market will bear it. And there are markets that will bear more for a home that is remodeled and upgraded. So if the house sells for more on the open market, best case scenario, you ask me. And what would happen in this scenario is the seller would get all of that upside of the open market. And so this is truly a way that the seller can actually make more money. It's pretty beautiful. So in that scenario, the seller would make an extra $10,000. They would also get their $75,000 reserve returned to them for a total of $85,000. So that is how the numbers skin out. I'm going to just head back over to our little flow chart quickly because I want to make sure I just skinned out everything from start to finish very quickly. But there you go. That's how it works. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel confident, and really understand that sellers are looking for other ways to sell than just listing on the open market. And while I always take a company's data like Opendoor that they publish from a survey with a grain of salt, what I do know because of what I see here is that folks are looking for cash offers. They want certainty, they want convenience, and we do know that they're willing to give up a little bit of their equity in order to have that certain and convenient home sale. This is a way to do it. This is a way to do it for way less than 20%. This is a way to do it for a program fee of 6%, because truly whatever that house sells for on the open market is what they'll make. And I think that if we're empowered to explain the program, not oversell the program, not undersell the program, but give them the facts, then they can make that intelligent decision for themselves. So I appreciate you being here with me today. It looks like I do have a couple questions in the chat. Let me take a quick look. Oh, hi, Bill. Good to have you on today. Yes, you can filter the contacts that are responding to the home report. So when you're in your notifications, way on the right-hand side, you'll see those three little lines. It's a filter button and you click it. And then you can filter for all the things. All right. Praveen. Hi, Kayla. Is it possible to get the terms and conditions of how that info that we put into Zoodealio system is preserved and confidentiality maintained? And for Zoodealio or its partners who do not use the yes, absolutely. It's in our terms and service already. So if you go to our website and you go all the way down to the bottom, it's in the terms and conditions. Okay. What is a refreshed offer? How is it refreshed? Does the buyer do a manual review and increase the offer? That is from James. Great question. So the offer will refresh if you go back in there and open it up after 30 days. It will. You can also go in there and you can request to have the offer refreshed. You can also email the team. So if it's less than 30 days and it's not going to be refreshed, you can just email the offers department and say, hey, I need updated offers for this property. And if you've requested a final offer, then yes, they will refresh those final numbers as well. Let's see. Can you provide repair appreciation data from my local market? Can you provide repair appreciation? Oh, that's the same question. Okay. Same question twice. Yes. Send me an email with your market, James. And does the buyer pay for transaction costs in closing one? Great question. On the first closing, the buyer is going to pay for their own transaction costs and the seller will pay for their own transaction costs. So pretty customary as far as that's concerned. All right, everyone, I appreciate you. Thank you for being on here today and investing your time in learning more about Zoodealio. I would invite you to take the survey after today's webinar and give us some feedback. We'd love to have it. I appreciate you, and I'll be back up with you in a couple weeks. We'll see you then.